I'd like to report that I saw the movie Watcher yesterday, and there will be spoilers here. I thought it was an okay movie, as far as being a suspense thriller, not really horror per se. The actress who it stars, whose name I can't remember, was actually featured in what I think was maybe one of my favorite horror films of all time, and that's It Follows, which was made a few years ago. And interestingly enough, you know how I talk about, we see these kinds of prototypes or archetypes in movies with certain actors. They suddenly appear in this particular type of role over and over and over again, and it's not just because of typecasting or one gets the sense that they are like organizing these actors to manifest this particular archetype. I spoke of Liam Neeson, how he often plays the sad-eyed widow who's actually secretly a badass. He was playing these kinds of roles, and then his wife actually dies in real life. This was a few years ago. So it's this strange kind of zigzag or cross between, or crossing of the cinematic reality and the real reality. Anyway, I don't know why I got off on that, except to say, in this movie, this actress who was followed in It Follows, she's also getting followed, and the movie's called Watcher. As I said before, my assessment of it as a movie is that it's okay. It's fairly entertaining. It's at least engaging. And I'm going to spoil it now. So anybody who doesn't want to hear spoilers, you can stop watching now. The plot is that this girl, this young woman, accompanies her boyfriend, and they live together in Bucharest, Romania, and so she's far from home. He's working all the time. Eventually, we kind of get the impression that he's an inattentive boyfriend. He's more interested in solidifying his position with the firm than he is with her. He would throw her under the bus, proverbially speaking. There's one point in which he makes a joke at her expense in Romanian, and tries to play it off, but she's actually been learning enough Romanian that she catches it. She hears what he's actually saying. So there are certain elements to the plot as far as the misandry aspect of the movie. It's not Men. If you want to go back and see my review of Men, where it was just so misandric that it was almost parodic. That was my title for the YouTube video, where anything smacking of maleness was just evil, bad, awful, manipulative, cruel, and so forth. Here there's we have a sympathetic, female protagonist who's with a boyfriend who we gradually find is not so great a guy. I don't know if that's misandric in and of itself. I mean, there are probably not that many. There are probably a lot more movies like that where we have a girl with a no good boyfriend than we see a guy with a no good girlfriend. My guess, anyway, is that is the case, given the state of things today. Amber Heardification, if you will, of Hollywood and of culture generally. But I don't really care about that. I don't mind it that much. And there are other male characters who are side characters who aren't bad, or one is even rather helpful of her at a particularly crucial moment. But the storyline is she believes that this man who lives in an apartment across the way from her is watching her, and then she also suspects that he's the same man that seems to be following her around. And the backdrop for all of this is there is some serial killer afoot in Bucharest at this time who's following young women and slicing their throats, or in some cases just beheading his victims. So she comes to think that this guy is the killer, and that she's likely to be his next target. But her boyfriend just thinks that she's just losing her mind, or she's just having a woman moment, or something like that. Just becoming obsessed with something when it's not really happening. So what I had thought and maybe hoped would happen is that there would be some kind of misdirection, that the guy who she sees from the window seemingly staring at her from across the way, it's a little too far away to see what he's actually looking at, but when he's there, it's unnerving to see him in the window. And then she thinks she sees him following her into a store, following her other places, and so forth. I was hoping that there would be some kind of interesting misdirection, that we would find out that the actual killer is not this guy, that he's some strange guy, maybe on the autism spectrum, but that it really turns out that he's just a plot foil, and the truth is that there's somebody else who's the killer. Especially after we meet him, and there's a scene where we meet him, and he's just very creepy acting. And then it's like, oh, the creepy acting guy is the killer. Well, how about that for a surprise? What a shocking turn of events. And it wasn't shocking. It wasn't clever. It wasn't interesting particularly. But I mean, what if she was actually wrong in her assessment of things, and the guy that she was getting creeped out by was not who was actually menacing her? Something like that would have been cool, I thought. But then again, you can't really have the female character be wrong, can you? You have to have her just be misunderstood, or be not believed, as part of some they would call it feminist, but I would call it misandric, some misandric point about how men don't believe their women enough. We should believe women when they report being harassed or followed or something like that. But here's the other thing that really struck me about this movie. If this film had, it's about expatriates, American expatriates abroad, which I think is an interesting subject. That's part of what I thought was interesting about them. That was part of what made me interested in the movie. The foreign setting, and making it in a foreign setting where you can't speak the language, where you're all alone. That whole kind of obstacle. If this movie had been set in, let's say, Central America, or South America, or Africa, say this movie were set in Kenya, in the major city of Kenya. I can't recall the title of it, the name of it right now. but say or some other hub of commerce in the continent of Africa, and this white girl sees this black guy staring at her from the window of an adjoining building, and then following her around in the streets. Is there any way that in that movie they would have it be, yeah, she's actually right, this black African guy, he's really creepy and he's a killer? I mean, would they have that twist in the movie? The white girl is correct, or is she's just bigoted? She's just racist. That's how I would suspect. That's how I more than suspect it would go. Not just if it were in Africa, if it were in any other non-white region of the world, but in Eastern Europe. Given that it's in Eastern Europe and the guy is white, albeit Slavic, right? Which is, I know some people have good-naturedly, ribbed me about being Polish, saying that's the Slavs are not really, are just pseudo-white or something. I don't know, but anyway, it's in Eastern Europe. The guy's white. He's a creepy white guy. With a sinister-sounding, Romanian accent. Then, of course, it's okay for the twist in the movie, for there not to be a twist, actually, for the movie to conclude with, yep, the white American, the spoiled, pretty blonde white American girl abroad is right, and this autistic seeming, not very good looking, creepy, sinister guy with this creepy, sinister accent is somebody who cuts off young girls' heads and keeps them, carries them around in a bag with him. Only, setting aside if this were not Eastern Europe, the movie wouldn't dare go in that direction. So I guess looked at sociologically, perhaps, it's interesting to see what's allowable and what isn't, and what's the way that a plot is expected to unfold, or required even in many cases to unfold in particular settings, as opposed to if it were to unfold in other settings. So there you go. That's Watcher. I spoiled it. It's not particularly good. It's not particularly worth seeing. So I thought it was okay. It wasn't as objectionable as Men from the Misandry perspective, but still, there are some tiresome tropes of the no good boyfriend. We saw that also in Midsummer, didn't we? The no good boyfriend. And I mean, this isn't to say that there aren't girls who have no good boyfriends in real life, but it also goes the other way too, and you don't see that as much in movies. And this isn't to say that there can't be serial killers who are Slavic and not very good looking and have sinister, or what to us sound like sinister accents. But that probably goes for places in Africa, places in Asia, places in South America as well, and that would be verboten today with today's sensibilities. So those are my thoughts on Watcher. Tell me your thoughts below if you wish to. Thanks for watching.